Ace Frehley, one of the founding members of the rock group Kiss, has died. He was 74.
The rock world stood still. Ace Frehley, the legendary spaceman of Kiss, was gone. And what followed left millions speechless. The same men who once pushed him out, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons, suddenly called him irreplaceable. What changed? What did they finally admit after decades of silence and conflict? In this video, we uncover the shocking confessions that turned heartbreak into redemption, and the truth that made even die-hard fans question everything they thought they knew about Kiss. Because sometimes, it's not the music that hits hardest. It's the words left unsaid until the very end. On the evening of September 25th, 2025, Ace was alone in his studio, recording new material for a project he'd planned to release the following year. It was supposed to be another chapter in his long, unpredictable journey. But that night, a simple accident changed everything. He slipped, hit his head on a recording console, and never got back up. Paramedics rushed him to Morristown Medical Center, where doctors diagnosed a traumatic brain injury and performed emergency surgery. He woke briefly, smiled at his daughter Monique, and then drifted back into a coma. For 3 long weeks, his family, including his ex-wife Jeanette Treratola, never left his side. Machines breathed for him. Hope flickered and faded, day by day. By October 10th, doctors told the family the truth. There was no chance of recovery. On the morning of October 16th, 2025, at exactly 8:17 a.m., Ace Frehley took his final breath. The official cause was listed as complications from head trauma, but the loss was far greater than any medical report could describe. His family released a heartbreaking statement. "We are devastated and heartbroken. He was surrounded by love, prayers, and kindness. His passing is a loss beyond words." Across the world, fans played Shock Me, Cold Gin, and Rocket Ride in his honor. Radio stations replayed his solos. Every sound became a farewell, a final salute to a man who had defined the sound of rebellion. For decades, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons had treated Ace as a chapter best forgotten, the talented but reckless bandmate who couldn't keep up with their discipline. But when he was gone, their tone changed completely. Paul's statement stunned fans. Ace was a core part of the first chapter of Kiss, irreplaceable and ever-present in our history. It was the first time Paul had ever called anyone in Kiss irreplaceable. Gene Simmons, the man known for his iron will and sharp tongue, simply said, "No one could have done what Ace did. No one." There were no press conferences, no interviews, no drama, just silence, the kind that says everything that words never could. Within hours, Kiss's official social media accounts changed their profile pictures to a photo of Ace Frehley in his 1977 spaceman suit, bathed in blue and silver light. Every page carried the same message: "Forever Spaceman." He lived it. That same day, Kiss found the sound that would make them legends. Ace brought chaos and creativity in equal measure. He invented the spaceman persona, designed his own look, and gave the band its raw edge. Songs like Cold Gin, Shock Me, and Rocket Ride carried his signature energy. Rough, untamed, and alive. He wasn't the loudest in the room, but his guitar did the talking. Yet behind the scenes, tension simmered. Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons treated Kiss like a carefully built machine. Every move calculated, every note rehearsed. Ace was the opposite: spontaneous, free, and impossible to control. He once said, "I can't do anything when everything's decided before I even walk into the room." That frustration became a quiet war within the band. In 1978, Kiss made a bold move that no rock band had ever tried before. Each member released a solo album on the same day. It was meant to show unity through individuality, but it ended up exposing the cracks beneath the makeup. Only one album truly broke through: Ace Frehley's self-titled record, powered by the hit New York Groove. The man who rarely spoke on stage suddenly became the one commanding charts and headlines. Fans loved it, but inside the band, it created quiet chaos. For the first time, Ace wasn't just the lead guitarist. He was the breakout star, and that spotlight burned bridges that would never fully be rebuilt. As the early 80s rolled in, the cost of fame and friction took its toll. The relentless touring, creative clashes, and Ace's growing exhaustion pushed him to the edge. When music from The Elder flopped in 1982, it was the final straw. Officially, Ace left for personal reasons. Unofficially, he was done feeling like an outsider in the very band he helped define. Kiss carried on with replacements, but fans knew something vital was missing. That's when Kiss lost its original identity, Ace later reflected. He poured his soul into Frehley's Comet, a solo venture that captured the raw, untamed energy that made him famous. But the shadow of Kiss followed him everywhere. "They don't want me to succeed," he often said. "They do everything to make me look unreliable." Neither Paul Stanley nor Gene Simmons ever denied it, because deep down, they knew it was true. After he left, the band replaced him, but kept using the spaceman image. Ace was furious. "I created that character. They can't just put another face behind it," he said. What began as a creative disagreement turned into a legal and emotional battle. When Kiss was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014, Ace refused to perform. "I don't need to stand next to someone who called me useless to get an award I earned," he said. Paul Stanley stayed silent. Gene Simmons simply replied, "We respect what he's done, but we have the right to move on." That was the last time all four original members shared a stage, a room, or a word. In his final years, Ace lived quietly but passionately. He released new albums, performed smaller shows, and mentored younger artists. He had finally found peace on his own terms. When asked about aging, he laughed and said, "A psychic told me I'd live to be 100. He didn't. But that optimism was pure Ace. Even in his 70s, he was still creating, still dreaming. His next album was planned for 2026, and he'd already recorded early versions of 2 songs that remain stored on his studio computer. His final, unfinished work. After his death, something remarkable happened. Paul Stanley sent an internal message to the band's management. Everything related to Ace must be treated with absolute respect. No cuts, no blurring, no replacements. Within days, the official Kiss website and social media turned black. The banner read only 2 words, "Forever Spaceman." His original live recording of Shock Me was restored to streaming services. For the first time since 2002, Ace Frehley was back in the spotlight where he belonged. Not as a memory, but as a cornerstone of the band's legacy. Ace Frehley wasn't perfect, but perfection was never the point. He missed rehearsals, broke rules, and frustrated his bandmates. But he brought something they couldn't replicate: heart. He was the living, breathing soul of Kiss, the bridge between image and authenticity. While Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons built a brand, Ace built emotion. He didn't just play guitar, he told stories through it. Every solo, every scream of distortion carried freedom, rebellion, and truth. Guitarists from Mike McCready of Pearl Jam to Tom Morello and John Five have all said the same thing. They picked up a guitar because of Ace Frehley. It wasn't his technique they admired, it was his spirit. He didn't care about perfection, he cared about passion. That's why, even decades later, his riffs still sound alive. They weren't meant to be flawless, they were meant to be felt. In the end, Ace Frehley didn't just play in Kiss. He embodied what made the band immortal. Not the makeup, not the money, but the freedom to be yourself, no matter the cost. He was chaos turned into melody, rebellion turned into art. He fell, he rose, he fell again. But he never lost the music that made him who he was. So tonight, when you hear Rocket Ride or Shock Me, close your eyes. Somewhere inside that wild guitar solo, he's still there. The last spaceman, still flying. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories behind the world's most powerful legends. Because some stars never fade, they just keep shining. somewhere far beyond the noise. Thanks for watching.